I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's webcast. I've got some news about volcanoes here that seems kind of ominous. According to this particular article from National Geographic, some of the world's most dangerous volcanoes can erupt more quickly than scientists had expected, according to a new study of the massive 2008 eruption of Chile's Katane volcano. Normally, scientists can track the seismic rumbles that precede most volcanic eruptions for weeks or even months, as magma in the volcano slowly rises to the surface. But when the townspeople at the base of the Katane volcano first felt the earthquakes in April 30th of 2008, they had only 30 hours to get out before the long dormant volcano began to blow its top. On May 3rd, 2008, magma rocketed up through the Earth's crust, moving a little over 3 miles up to the Katane volcano's surface in only about 4 hours. An enormous eruption column soared 12 miles into the sky. Thousands of Katane villagers had enough time to evacuate, but future victims who live in the shadow of these so-called rhyolithic volcanoes may not be so lucky. Rhyolithic volcanoes are largely fueled by a silica-based, very low-resistance magma, and they intend to build pressure over time before erupting violently. It's kind of like taking a bottle of Coke and shaking it real good, you know. Rhyolithic volcanoes erupt so infrequently that scientists hadn't had a chance to observe one until Katane. Deep inside the rhyolithic volcano, the mostly silica-based magma is thinned by water and other fluids, according to the findings published in the journal Nature. Pressure from above keeps the water in place, but as the magma rises to the surface, the pressure eases until nearly all of the water is removed, making the material one of the most vicious liquids known in nature. And by the way, the volcanic area around Yellowstone National Park is of the same kind. So, that's scary. It could happen with very little notice. Here's another article. The Jews, and I saw a video this morning on the internet, a group of religious Jews who live in the Jordan Valley near the ancient city of Jericho are taking practical steps to prepare for the building of the third temple, and by preparing descendants known as the Kohanim, that is the priests, and the Levites for service in this next temple. These Jewish leaders have established a training center where temple priests can learn exactly how to conduct the daily temple services and other required sacrifices as dictated by the Jewish laws from the biblical book of Leviticus. The training center will include an exact replica of the temple, where the student priests can learn to do their duties, which are required at this training center. The organizers believe comes in historic time, marking the beginning of the work for the third temple. So the Jews are building a replica out at Mizpah. You may recall some weeks ago, they built the altar out of stones from the Jordan River and as it opens into the Dead Sea area. And they built the altar. Now they're going up with the rest of the construction. It's fascinating. Here's another one from Israel Today. Headline news: Abbas endorses kidnapping of more Israelis. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas, hailed in the West as a moderate and a peace partner, suggested last week that the abduction of Israeli citizens will continue in order to win the freedom for all of the Palestinian terrorists currently jailed by Israel. He said, quote, "We will definitely, always, and forever act to free our prisoners using all means," end of quote. He told this to a gathering of his supporters in Arabic, contradicting years of promises to Western leaders to resolve all outstanding disputes with Israel via diplomacy and negotiations. Abbas made his remark in a response to last week's release of 20 female Palestinian prisoners in exchange for a videotape proving that the abducted Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit is still alive. So Israel gave 20 prisoners, Palestinian prisoners, for one videotape in return. Abbas and the Palestinian Authority have continued to demand that Israel free all 11,000 Palestinian terrorists in its jails as part of any final status peace agreement. Abbas and the PA view those terrorists as freedom fighters whose act of murder, even against unarmed Israeli men, women, and children, were legitimate acts of war. Amazing, isn't it? They won't ever quit until Jesus comes and puts a stop to the whole thing. That's my opinion. And then from Ynet News, this article, Turkey has canceled an annual joint Air Force drill that was to have taken place this week because it opposed Israeli participation. The Israeli military said in the latest sign of deteriorating